Okay, it just started recording on its own. Okay, it is the 13th, March the 13th, and we are going to start out by going over last night's homework, which was Tuesday night, I think, if I'm thinking right. Okay, like I said, I needed y'all to get settled before I got up here. Let's get this going, guys. Okay, last night's homework was this assignment on mean absolute deviation. Now, there were a couple things you really had to watch, which number one was that you put all the numbers in the data. Find it, guys. I tried to do number one on the video last night, 2, and then left you with 2, and number 3 has 2 parts. So, here we go. So, number 1, looking at the numbers, we finally figured out how to do what's called mean absolute deviation. Now, step 1 on this, if you were absent, step 1 is to find the mean of the numbers. And on this assignment, like it said, round to the nearest hundredth. This is the exact number, though, but I added up all the numbers, divided by how many numbers there are, and the mean is 17.5. I should see homework on every kid's desk unless you are absent. Otherwise, I'm starting to wonder. I'll just be honest. Yes?
On the end answer, I put 0. Like, behind the 2 and 8.
Okay. We're going to talk about that. Give me 1 second. It's okay. I'll talk about it. This step, what you do then is you take each piece of data. These were all the numbers in the problem, and you subtract the mean. I subtracted that number and got all these little numbers, as I call them. They're not exactly little, but I just call them that. Okay, now, what you got to do then is add up all these, divide by how many numbers there are, and I got 17.875. Now, this is where the rounding thing came in. Yes?
Is it okay if we just put that instead of rounding?
Kind of, but here's the deal. Okay, rounding. I want to kind of really talk about this right now. We got to know how to round. And it's not just y'all, because I've written some problems on the board earlier and stuff. Just kind of look for a second. From the decimal down, we got to get memorized that it's tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Okay? Since this assignment said round to the nearest hundredths, which is that column, okay, think about it this way. If you underline what they're asking for, your eyeballs look at the next number. If it is 5 or higher, it tells that number to go up to an 8. If it is 4 or lower, it would tell that number to stay a 7. Now, here's the part you were asking about the 0. If they're asking you to round it to the nearest hundredth, you should not have anything past the hundredth in your answer. I know. So try to kind of think about it that way. Like once you get your hundredth, everything behind it should be dropped. And I even did one, like I drew a little squiggly line on the board over there. If they ask for the tenth, round to the nearest tenth, and everything after the tenth should be dropped. And that's just hard. Like it's just another thing to learn. I don't know. Yes?
Basically, I got everything right, but I got 17.875.
Rounding. And that's okay. Listen, here's my thing. If you're willing to show me all this, okay, even if we got to use 5 sheets of notebook paper on the test, and you forget to round, it's probably like minus 1 point. Compared to if you don't show me anything. Let's say you show me nothing and you just say, my MAD is 18. Well, what did that kid probably do to get a MAD of 18? Look at it. What do you think they did? Rounded it up to an 18, to a whole number. But I may not realize it if they don't have all the math there. Does that make sense? So if they've got that, and I can at least see, well, they just rounded wrong or they forgot to round, it would be like -1. But if there's nothing there, it might be 5 or 10. So just show me all the work. Sounded good. Sounded good. I'm just glad right now, if y'all can get to these, I'm happy at this point. Yes?
My teacher taught me last year. It's like hundreds with the THS on it.
Ah, I like that. Yes. Yes. THSs. Yes.
So on the test, if you do put a 0 on the end,
I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't care. Other teachers might be that picky, but I'm not that super picky. It goes back to when we would round in elementary school, and we would. Some teachers put 0s in those spots.
I'm kind of
You just, yeah, you just kind of start dropping it. That's right. That's right. And then in the directions, it just said round to the nearest 100. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, number 2. This is more of one that, like, I think I did number 1 in class or whatever. So number 2, really look at it. Find it. Start looking. On this one, the mean is 545. You have the mean, 545. Okay, then check all your little subtractions. You should have a 95, a 295, a 45, a 95, and so on. I know it's a bunch of little math, but see, question? You got what? Where did you get 121? The math. Okay, so go back a step. If your math is wrong, go back one step at a time and check it. So start out by looking at this 1270 divided by 8. Do you have any, did you write that down by any chance? Oh, that's the, okay, so go back. Do you have this written? Okay, so check these. And then it could be anything from there. If all this subtraction's right, it could be that you just keyed it in the calculator wrong. Or some kids are dividing by 6, or dividing by 7, or dividing by 9. Make sure you divide by however many numbers you have. Does that make sense? So, if you're making it through the subtraction, it's probably just a calculator key wrong thing. Honestly. Yes?
So on the map, I have 192.5, but everything else is right. Except when on top, when I added it up, it equaled 1,540, and I even redid it last night, but I still have
It sounds like to me one of these 295s.
I have all of that right, I have all the subtraction right, and I have all the mean right, just the math wrong.
If you got your calculator, I'll key it in again. Just key all these 95, 295, and so on. I am finding this, hint, hint. And I've not seen this mistake before this year this much. Kids are doing this, and this might be what she's doing, and I've tried to say it in every class today. They're hitting plus, they're doing 95 plus, 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 and they're going down. And right here, when they get to that 175, they hit this. They go plus 175 divided by 8. So they're jumping to the divided by 8. But that number seems different than what you would have gotten. So be careful on that. Can you get that now, 1270?
I don't do that because I think that I will mess it up.
Yeah, you hit equals. Like you want to hit equals and then divide by 8. Yes?
So you type in all those and add those and then click equals.
Uh-huh.
And then click
Divide by 8.
that and then click divide by 8.
Yes.
Why is
If
it
you're not, yeah, it's what it is on one of the problems y'all are getting like 22 point something. My answer's like 30 or 40 or something. It's like if you're getting the wrong answer, it might be just the equals button. that make sense? Uh-huh.
Why does that change?
It changes because of order of operations. And so what the calculator's doing is the division before the addition. So they're dividing this, or they're dividing, like if you were to do all this, and you do plus 175 divided by 8, it's dividing 175 by 8 before it does the rest of the math. It's weird. Yes?
Do you only round if there are 3 digits behind this?
Okay, on this worksheet, it wanted us to round to the nearest 100. So, tenths, hundredths, since there was nothing past the 5, that's why I did it. I just left it. Yeah. And each one's different. One worksheet said the hundredths, another one said the tenths. So we got to get those memorized. Yes?
Schools don't really get this.
Okay, the sentence. Luckily, I'm not seeing it on the test. I was trying to investigate the test earlier today. What I did is this, and the sentence is kind of hard to me too. Write, okay, if you'll notice, I write the same thing. The average distance between. Because that's what it is. This is an average. It is a distance. Okay, between whatever that topic is. This topic was gigabytes. This one was planets and moons or something. Okay, and the mean is, and if you'll notice, it's the same words each time, and I just write that amount. I'm not seeing a sentence on the test. I'm going to be very happy if you can get to that number. I don't know that I'm going to really harp on that. Okay? Yes?
So I did it and it gave me the right answer, but then I realized what I did. I clicked the equal button twice.
Oh, yes, then it'll do the math twice. Yeah, it equals only one time. I like that.
Yeah, I think because I put my calculator down and then I forgot that
Yeah.
equals and then I clicked equals again.
Listen, that's the whole thing, like, I know y'all get mad that we don't let you use calculators starting in kindergarten, okay? But it goes back to, there's just this thing of when I okay, and I can just kind of say it with this one. When I go and I add, like I do this division, I know it should be 100 and something. I don't know it in the top of my head, but I know if my calculator spits out 1,000 and something, something's wrong. So I'm kind of checking my calculator as I go. As I add these up, I know that I shouldn't get 532. There's no way that equals 532. So if my calculator's giving me something really weird, I know it. When I divide this by 6, I know I shouldn't be getting 640 something. That means I times 6 or something. That's part of the weird calculator thing, is just knowing that your answer doesn't make sense. Okay? Now, I wrote 2 different sentences because, in case you wrote about the 6th grade, all it's saying is that it has a lower MAD than the 7th grade because they are closer together. If the number is smaller, they're closer, they're like squished up more. If the number is bigger, they are spread apart more. Okay? This was about money and sales or something with these 2 grades, like fundraising or whatever. I want you to think about it. If this group is everybody comes in and let's say they're between $80 and $90 because of that 10. Everybody brought between $80 and $90. That's a kind of high amount, okay? But if this group, everybody brought between 74 and 90, they don't have as much money probably, right? Their numbers are more spread apart. That is what that means. It's kind of weird. Yes?
I got this one right, except I got the math wrong on the 7th grade. I had 99.
Ooh. Yeah, I don't know.
I had 99.
Oh, on that one? When you added?
No. What on the math?
The final answer? That's weird because one girl in my other class said she got a 99 here and a 63 there. And we were trying to figure out in her calculator, like, what was going wrong.
Oh, wait, yeah. That's what happened.
And I don't know unless it's just keying something in wrong or added plus 2 instead of 3.
I did it again, and it's doing the same thing, but I don't know. Because last time that I had this happen, I had to reset my calculator because there was arrows everywhere.
Yeah.
And I still have that arrow, and it did something again, because it popped up last night.
Now, I have, one second, let me show you. If I can get my calculator turned on. Okay, I will admit, I've kind of learned this year, and each year I'm learning new stuff. Okay, that arrow seems to be normal, up in this top right corner. The DEG, whatever that's for, yes, I do not know, digit, whatever, I don't know, is normal also. But, if you're not sure, I just go in and I hit second and reset, and I do that. Now, the arrow goes away, but it comes back. It must have something to do with memory or something, because once I do 6 times 6 is 36.
Yeah, it's like that, and then if you put
Yeah.
the up arrow on your calculator, it goes to the last problem.
That's your
what it is.
memory.
Yeah. Well,
And then if you hold down clear and on, it deletes all your memory.
yeah. So, I just keep checking, is all I'm telling you.
I have 2.
Okay.
I have one arrow that goes up and one arrow that goes up. It's down. If you go up to like another.
Okay, so say you put in 1 plus 2 equals 30.
1
plus 2. And then you hit equals.
Uh-huh.
And you clear it.
Yeah?
An arrow will appear.
Yeah. Like, I've got the arrow right there.
And that's going to be your memory. And that's going to be the only thing there if you just put it.
Okay.
The up arrow, then it goes back.
That's
to that
every.
problem.
That's every
Right.
problem. But it only happens when you click equal.
Got it.
So if you
The
just click
equals
1 plus 1 and then clear, it.
doesn't have it. I got it. Yes.
What it's for is if you accidentally click clear, you can just go up to the question.
Oh. See, I'm lazy. I just type it all back in.
You
Yeah.
don't realize there's the same.
Or if you need to check it to
That's-
see where you messed up.
I'll admit, I've started using this arrow button going over to check some math when I've typed in a bunch of stuff. But I'm just weird. Like, I'm not used to all that stuff because we just had the cute little cheapy calculators. So I go in and I just recalculate it all. Here's my biggest thing I'm seeing. It's just, like I said, just little errors with calculators. My thing is this. If it is test day, please do the math twice. You want to do mean at least twice before you go in and ever start that math. Because you're going to be there all day trying to get the math done, and you may not
Even be right.
you may be there all night. Like, you don't want to do all this math to find out you messed up way back here. So I always say do the math, like do that mean a few times. Hey, do you already have one? Okay, so they got nothing. Okay, now, my advice is this. I'm going to do this on notebook paper. I'm going to do one with you, then I'm going to kind of let you loose on one, and then we'll go back and check it. But you want to get this with me. You want to write down everything. Main reason being so you've got something to look at, but also because it's kind of like a big review before Friday. Now, on Friday, you're going to have all this that we're getting ready to do. But you are also going to have 20 to 30 points of vocab. Now, the vocab, it has been sent out on Quizlet all week, and I'll send it out again today, but you've got all this vocab, guys. You need to start studying it. There are 16 of them, I think, in the Quizlet thing. This is just where I've kind of glued and taped them together from the last 2 weeks. That's all the vocab. You also had, back last week, we did a little study sheet thing, and we rewrote the vocab. And then you used it for, like, this assignment thing. So you should have that also, to be honest. I will also send out the Quizlet link in a little bit. Vocab, between 20 and 30 points. That's a lot. I mean, it's going to, like, you can make a B or a C just because of vocab. Please stop now. Here we go. Now, we're going to do this assignment. I'm going to start with you on number 1 here. First off, change the date. We have lost our minds at this point. And I need you to write on this sheet, round to the nearest 10. Shh. Please look, guys. You should be writing with me. Right here. There's the date. And on this, we're going to round to the nearest 10th. 10th. Point something. Now, I'm going to do mine on notebook paper. And then tomorrow, if you do it on notebook paper, then you need to bring the notebook paper so I can give you credit, okay? You don't have to rewrite it all on here, just bring the notebook paper. Okay, so here we go with number 1. First, we've learned that last week officially, starting out, that we need to put them in order from least to greatest. So I'm going to take these numbers, let's spread them apart a little bit. Least to greatest, here we go. So I'm checking. I got all my numbers. Okay. Now, I'm going to leave a little space to draw arrows and stuff in a minute. And I'm going to list what I need to find. You do not have to do it in this order, but this is just the way I do it.
We don't need to find the outliers.
Listen, just get with me here for a second. Mean, median, mode, range. I'm doing outliers only because I want you just to remember them. There's really not any on this sheet, but I need your brain to like slow down and say, oh yeah, we did that, okay? LQ, UQ, and IQR. Then, in a minute, I'll do MAD over here. I'm just kind of doing this here first. Okay. Guys, you should have written everything I wrote. Okay. Now, step 1, let's find the mean. To find the mean, teachers are mean. We add up all your grades. And we divide by the number of grades. 1 plus 4 plus 7 plus 9 plus 9 is 30. Divided by 5 is 6. So, the mean is 6. You really need to get your calculator, guys, and practice this stuff with me. Like, you need to add them up. Make sure you hit the equals. Then hit the divide and get 6. Okay, the median. Now, we started something new when we did LQ and UQ. When you go in and find that median, draw a box around it. So like on this one, the median is 7. It is the middle number. But I'm going to kind of pull it out from the rest because you can't use it when you do your LQ and UQ. So I'm kind of I'm like kind of housing it in its own little world. Okay. Mode means most. Which one repeats the most? 9 repeats the most, has the most times in it. Okay, range. Largest number minus the smallest number. 8. If you're not sure, like right, largest minus smallest. Okay, outliers. There really aren't any because 4 and 1 and 7 close, 7 and 9s and 9s. On the test, it would be like having this list and then down here having like a 76. And 76 has nothing to do with those numbers. Okay? Okay, LQ. Now, this is the first one we've seen like this. There's only 2 numbers on this one to make an LQ out of. There's just these 2 numbers right here. So, since there are only those 2, we got to find an average. You got to add them together and divide by 2.
Wait, would we not go to the middle?
That is the middle. So,
Would it be 2.5?
2.5, because 4 plus 1 is 5, divided by 2 is 2.5. You got to average those. And you don't do it every time. It's just if there's an even amount, that's what we got to do. Okay, now on this end, all these include the UQ, the upper quartile, upper numbers. So if I add these together, because there's 2, and divide by 2, I get 9. Okay, interquartile range. Range is subtract. Quartiles. Okay? So, it is your UQ minus your LQ. So, 9 minus 2.5 is 6.5. I'm trying to just be real specific in case anyone's homesick. They can kind of watch what I'm doing. Okay. Now, to do the math, and if you weren't here yesterday, you really need to listen now. Okay, to do the math, it's not hard, it's just a lot of math. Okay, I'm going to scoot over a little bit. Now, I can fit it right here if I write if I write neat and small. Okay, so step 1 for a MAD was to list the mean. Well, because we've already done some math, we already have the mean. The mean is 6, so I'm just going to put a 6 there, because I've already got that math over there. I'm just leaving it there. Okay, the second step is to do a bunch of subtraction. So, I'm going to list the numbers in my data. I have a 1, a 4, a 7, a 9, and a 9. No one should be packing up. There's no way anyone's done. If you got your paper early, then you should sit and be checking it with me. Now, on MAD, you take your data set and you subtract the mean from each one. So you do all the subtractions. Okay. I just use that list. Yep. Okay, and the last step for MAD is to find the mean again. Find the mean of these little numbers. So we're going to add them up. Which is 14, but we're dividing by 5 because there's 5 numbers we're working with. And I get 2.8.
Is it okay that I did it like this on my paper? Kind of sideways?
Yeah, that's fine. I like lines. I'm weird. Okay. Listen, try number 2 now. Do exactly what I did right there. Do number 2. And we're going to compare it in a second. Yes? Yes, I'm hoping a lot of partial credit. The more you show me, to be honest, I'm just being honest, the more likely you are to be getting some partial credit. I don't think there can be partial credit on the vocab, but on the math, yes, I'm hoping. I'm just going to... We are now going to work on number 2, and I think the kids are realizing that there's just, like, they're different. Each problem is different. Okay, so number 2 here. I would face forward. Like I would get with me. Okay, the numbers are 1, 2, 3, 3, 6, 7. Now, I think that's the right data. Make sure I'm right. Okay, so I'm going to go through. I'm going to find the different pieces and parts. Like I've been saying this whole time, none of this is hard. It is officially add, subtract, or divide. If you really want to know the truth, that's all it is. A bunch of add, subtract, or divide. It is confusing. So you have to do the work to make sure we know what we're doing. Okay? So think about it. Mean. Teachers are mean. We add up all our grades and we divide. So if I add them up, okay, I have a 22 divide by 6. Now, I've already talked about this with rounding. On this worksheet, on the top of it, we wrote round to the nearest tenth. Listen, you need to look, if you're one of my rounding friends that came and asked me questions, that first 6 is in the tenths column. Okay? So I can kind of write on it. I'm going to write it out a little bit. Now, I want you to look at this. This is the tenths column. That means the next column tells us what to do with it. Go up, because that is a 5 or higher. So, it's going to make that go up to 3.7. That is my mean. That is it. Nothing else. Okay? That's why we have to tell y'all to round, or we would all have different answers. Okay? Median. Here's the next question that came up. I want you to think about it. Nothing's changed from yesterday when we found medians. When I go in, what do we do if there's 2 medians? Add them and divide by 2. So if I add 3 plus 3, I get 6. Divide by 2, I get 3. What's freaking y'all out is that right here, it is the same number as the other numbers. But I need you to realize, it is a 3 created from those. And if it's created from those, like, this is kind of off by itself. That's why I keep saying, when you get the median, draw a box around it or something. Kind of pull it out from everything else. Uh-huh.
So, we didn't divide, like, on number one, we didn't divide 7.
That's right, because it had an exact number. Yep. If it's an odd amount of data, you're going to have that exact middle number. If it's an even amount of data, you're going to have to add and divide by 2. Okay. Mode means repeats the most. Which one repeats the most? 3, because there's 2 3s. Nothing else repeats more than 2 times. Okay. Range. 7 minus 1. Biggest number minus smallest number. 6. Okay. No outliers. Okay. Now, this is the last question y'all were asking me, was where the LQ, UQ thing is. Okay. Guys, you should all have this written down. If I'm on number 2, you're on number 2. It's scaring me by looking at what I don't see. Okay, LQ. It is on my lower numbers, past the median. Well, if my median is there, I have to include that 3 to make that LQ. So, going in, that 2 is now my LQ. It is my middle number of those 3 numbers. Okay? Because there's 3 numbers, there's an exact middle. I would turn around. Considering I'm videoing, I would space forward. Like, I don't get it. From here down makes the UQ. So starting here using these numbers makes the UQ. Okay, if I go into that middle number, it is the 6. The 6 is the UQ. Okay. Now, the last thing was the IQR. It is officially this UQ, which is 6, minus the LQ, which is 2, which makes it 4. Good. Okay. So, everybody got that part. Okay. Yes.
So, for my UQ, I got 6.5.
Yep.
LQ, I got 1.5.
No.
And my IQR, I got 5.
No. I've already said, listen, that means you didn't include that 3. When you were making your UQ and your LQ, you have to include that 3. Nope, that's the median. The median is this plus this divided by 2. So it's a different 3. So if you use them to create a new number, which just happens to be the same number, use them to make that LQ. Yes?
Why is there a 3 after this? Like you could do like an after that.
Why is there a 3 after the 3? Is that what you said? That's just the way the data's listed.
No, I mean like the median is 3.
That median, guys, is officially these two numbers added together. 3 plus 3 is 6. Divide by 2 is 3.
But was it in between a 3 and a 3?
Okay, it just happens to be built from those two 3s. So it's not this 3, and it's not this 3. It's those 3s together. When it is between two numbers, you want to place it between those numbers.
So that means that number is not the number. That's those 30.
Just like this one. Even though like up here, we had the 1 and the 4, and we added them together and divided by 2, and we got 2.5. When you list it, think about it as listing it between those numbers. Uh-huh.
But for that one, the number 1,
Uh-huh.
it says 2.5, which would make sense to me in between them because it's bigger than the 1 but smaller than the 4. But the other one is in between at the same year.
Yeah, it's just, it happens to be 3 though. Because just 2 3s added together divided by 2 is 3. It's like two test grades. If you make 2 100s and we average it, what's your new grade? 100. Just so happens to be the same thing. So all it is here is averaging these together happens to make the same number. The weird part about this is, though, because we're making these LQ, UQ things, we have to use it to make these. Like, if we don't use it as the median. That's why, like, with this one being the median, that 7 is the number. I kind of pull it out of that data. I draw a box around it. I don't use it when I make the green and the orange. Up here, though, I had to make a new number. Does that help a little bit? I know it's hard. This is my thing, though. This is why I'm begging y'all to do your homework. Because if you're not doing this stuff, you don't really know. The next one, I don't know. You may not, it could be big numbers or something. So as we do it, I need you to do them. Okay? Okay, let's do the MAD. Here we go. Now, not too bad because the mean is already made. The mean is 3.7. Okay. Now, I'm going to do all the subtraction. I'm going to list the data. Okay. Now, I'm going to subtract the mean. You always subtract the mean here. That's why it's called mean absolute deviation. Okay, doing the math. This is where I really wish you all would get with me and use the calculator. I need you to see that when you get negative numbers on this part, you need to change them to positives. Any negatives, you just change them to positives. It has to do with the whole idea of distance. And since this is distance from the mean, that's why we can change it to a positive. Stop, guys. Nope, I already talked about rounding. No, you just need to listen. Now, going down there, check all your little subtractions. No one should be packing up. Listen. Check the last step. On the mat, adding them up. Make sure on the 0.7s you are typing 0.7. If you type 7, you will get the wrong answer. Yes. Divide by 6. Because there are 6 pieces of data. And you get 1.9. Now, you will do all of this on number 3, 4, and 5 for homework. Number 3, 4, and 5. Now, here is number 3, 4, and 5. I've done 1 and 2 in every class. Finish this for homework, please. Neatly, pretty, all that good stuff. Thank you. Study vocab.